How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining me. I have another video for you, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing two Fronius machines, or I should say two new Fronius machines. So not one but two new Fronius machines, and one of them is called a TransTig 210. The other one right here is called a TransTig 170. Now I know you're looking at the machines. They're the same size, they look exactly the same, but obviously there's some system differences. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later in the video, but just not right now. So what is a TransTig? So a TransTig is a high frequency DC constant current welding machine. So DC, what kind of applications can you do? You can pretty much do about 90% of your applications. So it could be chrome moly, titanium, carbon steel. The only thing you can't do at DC is you can't weld aluminum or magnesium. So something to think about is, are you really going to need a machine to weld aluminum? If not, this one will cover about 90% of the applications. What is constant current? So constant current means you can do TIG and stick, so it's a multi-purpose machine, so it allows you to do two different types of processes. The only process it doesn't allow you to do would be MIG. So MIG would be with welding wire. This machine does have an internal gas solenoid, and then there's a few different ways that you can start the arc on this machine. But let's get into the front of this unit. Now when you're taking a look at the connectors here, so these are for your leads. So here you have minus, and then over here you have positive. So minus is where you would plug in the TIG torch, and then positive is where you'd plug in your ground cable. Now let's say you're doing stick welding. Stick welding, what you would do is you'd plug your ground here in the minus and then your stinger lead over here in the positive. Now the size of the connectors here are 50 millimeter DINS connectors. This is pretty much standard out in the industry. This right here is the Amphenol. So this Amphenol, what you can do is you can connect the thumb controls that come standard on the torch, where you can start your arc or adjust your amperage. Or if you want an optional foot pedal, a wired foot pedal, you can plug it in here and just use a foot pedal to override the TIG torch. One thing you'll notice on the Fronius TransTig is this option right here. So it comes standard with an onboard dust filter. So why is this important? Because most welding machines, what happens is a fan kicks on and it sucks cool air through the backside all the way to the front. Problem is it takes that dust and particulate or whatever you're doing with the machine, and it coats the inside of the machine or the boards. This screen or filter, what it does is it takes that dust and contaminant and traps it right here in the filter. So long term, it's going to save on replacement boards, and the cool part is you can reuse this. So you can rinse it out, blow it out, and then you just put the back on just like so. Here we have your gas fitting. It just takes your standard inert gas fitting for your gas bottle. And then this right here is called a Fronius power plug. So the Fronius power plug, what it does is it plugs in just like this, snaps, and then it's strain relieved in there. So the machine comes with 4 of these, so depending on if you're running 220 or 110, you just swap out the power plug. And then here, on-off switch. On the top of the Fronius products, you can see here it comes standard with the factory calibration, so you can see if it was passed or failed, what type of grade, if it was precision or standard, your serial number, the date it was calibrated, and also it gets signed off from an engineer right in Austria. So you know when you're buying a machine, it's at its top performance. The last sticker on the top of the machine, it will give you your product description, part number for the machine, serial number, duty cycles for 110 or 220 volt, and then also it tells you what size fuse you need for your breaker, depending on if you're running in your garage or off a generator. The user interface on the TransTig 210 or 170 is very user friendly. So here we have a gas purge, and this black knob, it allows you to adjust any of the settings on the faceplate. So here we have start current, upslope, main current, downslope, end current, pulse, tack feature, and then we go back to the start current. So let's say we wanted to adjust your main current, push the button in, adjust it to what amperage setting you want, push it back in, and that's it. Now over here you can change between a 2T trigger, a 4T trigger, and then stick mode. So a 2T trigger would be on off, a 4T trigger would be a trigger lock. Now when you plug a foot pedal in, it's going to automatically default you to a 2T trigger. Here we have a status indicator telling you what's turned on and what's not turned on. So if it's highlighted, it's telling you it's turned on. If it's gray, it's not turned on. So high freak is turned on. So for instance, if we wanted to turn on pulse, I could go ahead and turn pulse on. And now all of a sudden you can see the status indicator is turned on. Now let's turn pulse off. And now the status indicator is shut off. If you're facing the front of the machine and you look to the right side panel, you'll see a QR tag right here. So if you have an iPhone or a QR scanner, what you can do is open up your iPhone, open up your camera, and all of a sudden you see this pop up. Let's tap it. So we'll go ahead and tap it. And 3, 2, 1, and fire in the hole. So look, it takes you to the landing page of the machine, and then here you can find all the operation information, and then if you need manuals or anything like that, you can find it here. So I don't know if your welding machine can do that, but this is pretty cool. That was a little overview of the faceplate, the connectors, the QR tag, the air filter on the back. So I'm sure all of you have one more question. What does this thing weigh? It's small, it's compact, so it comes in at a whopping 21.5 pounds. So you can round down or up. Let's say it's 22 pounds. If you're doing any type of portable work, let's say you're a maintenance contractor, construction contractor, let's say you are in construction, rail service, if you're doing any light to medium fabrication and you're looking for a 200 amp machine or below, this could be it. You know, it weighs 21.5 pounds. That's pretty light. I bet you I can take both these machines and lift them out like this, get a little workout in, some bicep curls. Yeah, so 21.5 pounds, pretty light. That's the TransTig. Let's go over here and see what's in the packages. Follow me. Fronius pre-assembles and test welds every single machine, and when they're done, they put all the manuals and operation instructions in this box. How do you power up the machine? Well, these packages come with 4 pigtails. So one of them is a standard 15 amp 110. The other one is a 20 amp 110. Then they have a 20 amp 230, 220 volt twist lock, and then a 50 amp washer dryer. You will receive a Profax flow meter, and it has a ball valve here so you can check your flow rate. So when you hit the purge on the machine, you can adjust right here with a valve your CFH, and then it has your hose to go to the flow meter to the back of the machine. So the TIG torch itself is 26 feet, and it includes your arc on, arc off, and then your amperage control right on the torch. What you do is you plug it in the back with your standard 50 millimeter DINs. This one is special because it has an O-ring on the back that seeds the torch into the power supply. Here's your amphenol to use the controls on the torch. Let's say you buy an optional foot pedal. You just unplug this and plug in your foot pedal. So the spare parts kit that comes with it looks something like this. It includes an extra back cap, some 332 tungsten, some 1/16 tungsten, collet bodies, and then a couple extra gas cups. So this is a nice little kit to get you going for anything you may need to use the machine for. The other thing that comes with it is this gooseneck right here. And if you're wondering which type of consumables comes on it, it is going to be your heavy duty collet and collet body. So it's not the stubby collets themselves, and they are thread-on consumables. The only thing you'd have to get from Fronius would be spare necks and then the back caps. What's nice about this is you could have extras. So let's say, for instance, you want to run a gas lens with a jumbo cup, and then maybe this head with the 6. But what you can do is you can take your TIG torch, line up the arrows, push it in until you hear a click. Now you know it's locked in. Now you can swivel this thing 360 degrees, or what you can do is you can pull it out just like that, and then put in your gas lens gooseneck. You'll receive 2 cables. One of them will be this ground cable right here with this heavy duty clamp, and then you'll receive this stinger or electro cable for stick welding. Both of them come fit with 50mm DINS connectors, which connects to the minus or positive of the TransTig 170 or 210. Yes, this case does come with both packages. It's a heavy duty portable case, so you can see it has wheels right here on the front. So if you want to tote it around, you can tote it around. If you want to carry it with the strap, you can carry it with the strap. It has handles, so you can carry it with the handles. And then also it has these nice little latches to lock everything in place. And then here, you can open it up and pull your machine out and all your accessories. Let's get in the ODW of both these machines. What is the ODW? It's operation, duty cycle, and wattage. So on the TransTig 170, your maximum amperage output on 110 volt power in TIG mode is 140 amps and 100 amps in stick mode. Then we bump over here to the TransTig 210. So your maximum amperage output on 110 in TIG mode is 170 amps and 120 amps in stick mode. Now let's bump it up to 220, 230 volt, and then everything changes. So the TransTig 170 on 220 volt, you get 170 amps output TIG, and then 150 amps output stick. On the 210, you get 210 amps output TIG and 180 amps output stick. Duty cycle is going to range from a variety of things, either 110 power or 220 volt power, but also the type of machine and the process. So your duty cycle changes between stick and TIG. So let's start off here at the TransTig 170. So the TransTig 170 on 110 volt power in TIG mode is 100% at 100 amps. So that means you can run it all day long at 100 amps on 110 volt power in TIG. And then in stick mode, it is 100% at 80 amps on 110 volt power. Now on the 210 on 110 power in TIG mode, it's 100% at 120. And then if you go to stick mode on 110, it's 90 amps, 100% duty cycle. Now let's bump it up to 230 volt power. And on the TransTig 170, it's 100% in TIG mode at 140 amps and 100% at 110 amps in stick mode. Now on the 210 on 230 volt power, it's 100% at 160 in TIG mode and then 100% in stick mode at 120 amps on 230 volt power. Wattage, just like duty cycle, is going to range from a variety of things. What are they? Are you running off 110 power, 220 volt power? Are you running TIG? Are you running stick? Are you running MIG? What types of machines are you running? So I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to tell you the wattage needed at full amperage and voltage in stick mode on 110 and 220 volt. So the TransTig 170 on 110 volt, all you need is maximum wattage of 2800 watts on 110. The TransTig 210 maximum wattage on 110 volt is 3500 watts. 220 volt on the 170, all you need is 3500 watts at maximum. And on the TransTig 210, you will need 4600 watts. It's benefits and features time. So Fronius has something built in the TransTig 170 or 210 called PFC. It stands for Power Factor Correction. Why do I have so many extension cords? Well, you can string these machines up to 300 feet of 110 extension cord without tripping outlets. Why is that a big deal? Because if you have hard to reach areas and you're on the road and you're doing portable work, you don't have to worry about power. Plus, you don't have to worry about buying leads, which is costly. You can just run your standard 110 extension cord and not worry about tripping outlets again. Another key feature on the TransTig 170 or 210 is cellulose mode. What that allows you to do, it allows you to weld 6010 or 6011 very easily. And I'm going to be using the TransTig 170 at 80 amps with 200 feet of 110 extension cord. I'm going to be using BlueDemon 332 6010 rod, and I'm going to demonstrate to you that I can dig all the way through this pipe and blow through without actually stubbing. So here you can see my stick rod, and I lost my arc because the rod itself wasn't getting any grounding anymore. You can pulse in TIG mode and stick mode from 0.2 pulses per second all the way up to 990 pulses per second. So why would you pulse stick, for instance? Well, maybe you're welding thin gauge material and you're trying to keep heat out of the puddle, or maybe you're welding out of position and you're trying to not fight gravity and keep the puddle in the weld joint itself. What it does is it drops 50% from whatever you have the amperage to, how many times per second. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 1/8 inch 7018 BlueDemon rod, set at 80 amps, and for giggles, we're going to max the frequency out, or the pulses per second, to 999. We are welding this butt joint, which is 60 thousandths. Alright, it's complete. Here you can see 60 thousandths, and the backside, no burn through. The tack feature is a must-have feature in my opinion. What it does is it adds a pulse to the beginning of the start, so it joins the two base materials up to about 50% faster than standard main amperage. So how you get to that is you take this black knob over here to tack. Right now it's turned off. You can set it to 1/10 of a second all the way up to on all the time. So if you are fitting a large part and doing a lot of tacking or fitting, I suggest keeping it turned on. Here you can see the tack function is highlighted, so it's turned on, ready to go. Let's turn this down to pulse and set it to 2 pulses per second and see what it does. So that makes the end of the review video. Hopefully I answered all the questions and at least showed you what these two machines are capable of and what they come with. If there's something I missed, make sure you ask that question down in the comment section. I'll make sure I answer for sure. I plan on making 2 more videos to cover the background menus and what the functionalities do with TIG and stick welding. So stay tuned for those. So if you do get a machine, they're going to be coming. As always, I do appreciate you watching. Hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for future content.